from the New Arts and Media Studios here in River West, the greatest neighborhood in the world. I'm Charles Purcell, and this is The Log. Oh, it's your typical Monday. I've got way too many notes in the files here. We'll see how much we can get to. Never know until we get started if we get hooked on something or if we can just jump around randomly. We'll see how it goes. It's Monday. We're beginning the second week of Aaron Rodgers' stint as guest host of Jeopardy! That's kind of exciting. He's a likable guy. He's kind of Aaron Rodgers is one of these interesting people. He's kind of a jerk. He's a complicated person. He's got this whole nerdy Jeopardy! Thing going on. He's very intelligent, and he's very much into trivia. And he's very competitive, of course. That's what makes him a great player, one of the things. And there's no getting around it. He's kind of a jerk, especially when it comes to this competitive thing. But he's also this sort of charming jerk. So we love him around here. I don't know how... I'm here in Wisconsin, of course. I don't know how the rest of the country feels about him, but we like him. He's kind of he's our guy. And I'm enjoying his turn as a guest host on Jeopardy! And he's making no secret about it at all. He wants the job. He wants the permanent gig. He wants to host Jeopardy! Permanently. I guess he was asked about it in an interview, and he said, yeah, I would love to do it. And I don't know if it's hitting your social media as well. It's hitting my feed that LeVar Burton is openly campaigning for the job. Now, between the two, I don't think there's much of a competition, but just the fact that they're both openly campaigning is kind of an interesting little pop culture moment here. But the one thing we can say for sure, it's popular. People love it. Of course, everyone was sad about the loss of Alex Trebek, but the game itself, the institution, is very strong, and people are very interested. And I think if LeVar Burton gets the permanent spot, that'll be a popular choice, I'm sure. All right, so there's that. On more weighty issues, I guess I don't have anything very original to say about this. The mixed feelings continue about COVID. This fourth wave is very disturbing. We don't know how high it's going to get. It's really, the numbers are scary in Michigan, especially. But still, we continue to open up cities, open up businesses. Everybody's got, they've either done it already or it's on the calendar. It's scheduled for when things are all opened up. Students are going back into schools, but of course now with the variants and the new surge, much of the spread is coming from those very students. Young people are spreading this thing. So I got nothing to tell you. I'm often very, very careful about what I say because, God forbid, I do not want to say the wrong thing. I take responsibility for the fact that you're listening to me right now, and the last thing I want to do is steer you wrong. So I never pretend to know anything I don't know about COVID. All I know is that I'm very concerned, and I hope we win this race between the vaccines and the variants and the new surge. And as I am quick to remind you always, we can't think about this thing domestically. We can't think about it as though, as one writer put it recently, you and I shared, as though it was a meteor that just hit the United States. No, it's a worldwide pandemic, and things are not going well in Europe. Things are blazing away in Brazil currently because, they didn't have a 2020 election to get rid of their crazy leader like we did. So Bolsonaro is continuing to do his dirty work in Brazil. And then, getting back to this country, experts, a lot of them are telling us that the reopening of schools, the reopening of businesses are fueling this new surge. So, I don't know. I've always been an advocate from the very beginning. However long this thing takes, we need to ride it out. If it's a year, if it's 2 years. And now we're going on, if we mark this thing kind of mid-March for the anniversary, it's only mid-April now. We're only 1 month out from the 1-year anniversary. If it takes another couple, 3 or even 6 months, I've been saying from the very beginning, ride it out as long as it takes. put all resources to helping people. Nobody should lose a business. I've said this 100 times. Nobody should lose a business. Nobody should lose a job. If they have to be furloughed for a year or two, pay their damn bills. And you and I have also had the conversation about this sort of schizophrenic relationship we have with Joe Biden and the White House. Just when we think he's killing it, he disappoints. And then when he disappoints, then he comes out with something great. So I guess the bottom line there is, when people say this is the most progressive agenda from an American president in decades, yes, that's absolutely true. I don't think there's any denying that. But from a progressive point of view, we know that's a very low bar to cross, right? What progressive agenda has there been from any president in the last 50 years? You got to go all the way back to Roosevelt. So to say this is the most progressive agenda since Roosevelt, yeah, I don't think there's any doubt about that. But in the very same breath, you can say it's nowhere near what we need. We're just in need of such a huge correction at this point. So you can do both. You can complain that it's not enough, and you can celebrate that it's the most we've had in decades. So both things are true at the same time. It's really okay to acknowledge both of those facts because they're both true. We have such a hard time with simultaneous facts. We have to either be pro or con on everything, and we generalize. You have to be either pro-Biden or anti-Biden. No, you just take each issue as it comes. You appreciate the relative quality of his progressivism. I mean, you think about what he could be doing. It's absolutely within his power to decriminalize weed nationally. He could do it if he wanted to. He could expunge the records of all nonviolent criminals. He could release them from jail. He has the power to do an awful lot. He can pardon everybody. I mean, he's not going to do it. He could direct way more resources to the southern border and silence all of that criticism if he wanted to. He could wipe out student debt if he wanted to. He could back universal health care. So there's lots he's not doing. But again, relatively speaking, compared to the last 50 years, yeah, both things are true. He is the most progressive president. This is the most progressive agenda. It is clearing that rather low bar. But, it's clearing it. Joe is more patient than I would be, and that's a good thing. If I were in the White House, I would just be dressing down Joe Manchin. I'd be calling him every name in the book. Did you happen to see Joe Manchin's op-ed? Was it in the Times or the Post? I forgot. I think the Times. Joe Manchin is a lost cause. He's just completely a lost cause. I'm not sure what his prime motivation is. It might be a mixed bag. If he's drunk on his own power, maybe that's part of it. Maybe he really honestly believes that there can still be bipartisan agreement in the U.S. Senate. And if he does, he's the biggest moron since Ron Johnson. I don't know how you can still continue to believe that. There is no possible path to bipartisanship in the United States Senate. That is gone. For that matter, it's the House of Representatives as well. It might not be quite as extreme there, but it may as well be. So use the powers that Senate rules give you regarding reconciliation. Get what you can. I've always been a proponent of small bills, not these big omnibus bills. But we're not there yet. That's when we have democracy restored. That's when we get rid of the filibuster. We do something about this uneven misrepresentation in the Senate. We do something through electoral politics about purging this right-wing crazy Republican Party. Yeah, if and when we can achieve those things, then I'm in favor of smaller bills, one item per bill, debate them, pass them, fail them, whatever. That's my philosophy, but we're not there yet. Until we get there, we have no choice. We've got to go with these huge omnibus bills. Fine. Okay. That's just the way it is. No getting around it. So, as you and I have discussed many times, we have a very small window. The 22 midterms might give Republicans the majority in both the House and the Senate. So you got a year and a half. Just do it. Use reconciliation, write these big monster bills, and do it. Speaking of the 22 midterms, 34 Senate seats are in play. And the most interesting ones are Wisconsin, because Ron Johnson is up for re-election. He hasn't officially announced yet, although the Orange Menace did a big old endorsement last week, which I think is pretty good news, actually. Yeah, part of me says, yeah, go ahead and run, Ron Johnson, with your big endorsement from the Orange Menace. That probably is the best case scenario for Democrats in Wisconsin. Missouri, there's a Republican seat. Roy Blunt has announced his retirement. So there's one the Democrats could grab, but not likely. They're not going to get Missouri. I'm not going to say no to anything, but that'd be pretty tough. Republicans also retiring in Ohio and Pennsylvania. I would say Pennsylvania is a great opportunity for a pickup. North Carolina. Where else? Looking to see if there are any opportunities. And Florida. So I think of the states with Senate elections, if the Democrats can make gains in Wisconsin, Pennsylvania, and then possibly Florida and North Carolina, and then toss in long shots Ohio and Missouri, I don't know. I bring this up because it's really our only chance of getting around Manchin and Sinema, Kyrsten Sinema and Joe Manchin. He especially, Manchin is, as I say, is a lost cause, completely lost cause. So all we can do is make him irrelevant. He just has to become irrelevant. We have to take away his power. He's not up for re-election again until, I think, 24. I think that's right. And as we've noted here on this program, Republicans are not doing well in recent elections. Just a couple weeks ago, we had that statewide election here in Wisconsin. It was the fourth consecutive statewide election that the Republicans lost. This one happened to be for Superintendent of Public Instruction. Of course, the two famous Senate seats in Georgia. So if Republicans continue to lose, that's nothing but good news. It's the only way we move forward with anything. Again, we have this small window right now. We have to use it if we can get past Joe Manchin. But 22 has to be all about making him irrelevant. I know it's a big ask. I know it is. But there are signs. Again, these recent elections are a sign. We talked about how progressives swept Nevada. All of their state leaders now are progressives. The Democratic Party in Nevada is now 100% progressive. And all the moderates and establishment Democrats, they just resigned en masse. It was fantastic. And then right on the heels of that, was it the mayor of Las Vegas? I think that's the guy who actually switched parties. He's now a Republican. Fine. Good riddance. See ya. These so-called moderates, these centrists, these establishment Democrats, their losses are our gains as well. I'm great with that. I'm tickled pink. Oh, the conservative media had such a good time with that. He had all these terrible things to say about the Democratic Party, or as he called them, the Democrat Party. Yeah, let's see. Let me pick up an article here from Fox News. Nevada Mayor John Lee, why I'm leaving the Democratic Party. Democrats embrace a socialist extremist agenda that is not the party of JFK or of my parents. So says John Lee, former Democratic mayor of North Las Vegas. Oh, I didn't know there was a North Las Vegas. Okay. So it's not even Vegas, it's North Las Vegas. But yeah, the conservative media had a great time. It was one of their big headlines of late last week. There used to be a place in the Democratic Party for conservative voices like mine. Today, that's no longer the case. Yep, that's right. That's absolutely right. You are reading the room correctly. Go ahead, put an R in front of your name, and let's see how that works out for you. Usually rats desert sinking ships. You are jumping on the sinking ship. Okay. All right. You dummy. I'm good with that. So there you go. There's that. What else is going on? You know, I still keep seeing posts like this one. The FBI is seeking the public's help in identifying people who took part in the violence at the U.S. Capitol on January 6th. This is... Ay. Yeah, this is a post I saw on Facebook, and there's a picture of this guy with a MAGA hat and a white beard. And do you know this individual? If you do, help us bring him to justice. Submit a tip at tips.fbi.gov. Remember to refer to photo 290 in your tip. Every time I see one of these posts, and I see them pretty regularly, just reminds me again, and it makes me angry all over again, the sight of the Capitol Police standing at the doorway like a damned flight attendant, escorting people out of the building. Bye-bye, bye-bye now, bye-bye now, bye-bye, 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 bye-bye now, bye-bye now. And the invaders, the marauders, the insurrectionists just filing out. Okay then, bye, thanks. I will never, ever understand why they didn't seal that building, and when they did open the doors, they escorted those insurrectionists, single file, out the doors and right onto buses where they would all be booked, fingerprinted, photographed, and questioned. Every single goddamn last one of them. How in the world that didn't happen? I was screaming at my television while this was going on. Why are they just walking out? This makes no sense. This is insane. And now, a couple of months later, we're still having things like this. Do you recognize this person? We need your help. He was in the damn building. How did you let him go? You just tipped your hat and said, all right then, see ya. See you on January 20th. This is crazy. Ugh. I'm not sure what the progress is on this. Maybe you can tell me. Where is the investigation except at the FBI and the DOJ? Is there any other, that 9/11 style commission we kept hearing about? Is anything happening on that front? Is anybody even talking about that anymore? We absolutely need, I'm going to repeat this. I've said this a couple of times over the last couple of months. Absolutely have to have a 9/11 style commission on January 6th. It was way too big to just let it go. Have to have a 9/11 style commission. In addition, we have to have a Mueller style independent counsel regarding January 6th, with the power of subpoena and the power to indict. This in addition to whatever the DOJ is doing right now, along with the FBI, just their normal run-of-the-mill investigations. Sure, it's good you're doing it, but we need a full-scale commitment with an army of personnel working around the clock. We need a Mueller-style independent investigation. If it takes a year, if it takes 2 or 3, I don't care. This investigation has to be thorough and exhaustive. And in addition to that, we needed the 9/11 style commission. This is the civilian side of the story. This is overturning every single rock and getting every tidbit of information we can get and making sure it is fully public. So we, as a nation, understand exactly what happened. We get this all down on paper in black and white. I mean, we've got some pretty good journalism happening. We've had a couple of good documentaries. I think Frontline is doing another one just this week, if I'm not mistaken. Is it tonight, tomorrow night? This week, Frontline is debuting their latest on the subject. Fine, all well and good. It ain't enough, though. The full power of the United States federal government needs to come down heavy on this thing. All right. So what else can I tell you? I had let me share this with you today. I had a personal experience on Facebook over the weekend. I did something on my personal page that I don't do very often. It's pretty rare. After seeing way too many disturbing posts, I wrote this, kind of on a whim, and I posted it really without thinking. It's the only way anything like this ever gets posted by me, and that is if I don't think too much about it. It has to happen on a whim, and I have to just click, there it is, okay, whatever. Because if I think about it too long, I don't post things like this. And I'm reading now. To my older white dude friends, please check your white male boomer privilege. I'm seeing too many Facebook posts that are not bawdy or funny or innocently politically incorrect. Often they are blatantly racist, misogynistic, and or classist. I'm often surprised and disappointed to see these posts coming from guys I like and thought I knew. I'm not naming names, but I'm about ready to call you out and even end some friendships. Yeah, just seeing too much of it. And there were a couple of guys in particular I was thinking about. And again, I didn't want to, as I said in the post, I didn't want to call them out, but I was hoping they might see this and they might recognize themselves in this criticism. And then just a general note to everybody of my ilk, the older white cis guys. Well, unlike most of my posts that are usually ignored, this got quite a response, a lot of likes, a lot of comments, and one of the guys I had in mind actually commented on the on the thread itself. I guess he didn't recognize. And just to be clear here, here's the kind of person I'm talking about. There's this one guy in particular. He's an older guy, well-educated. In fact, he's an academic. He's a retired academic. And most of his posts are in full alignment with me. And he's a liberal, progressive kind of a guy. And yet he's really very capable of and comfortable with posting funny little memes that are just downright sexist. I mean, you really can be both things at once. You can be liberal, you can be progressive, you can have kind of the right ideas about politics. But for whatever reason, he just can't get past his own misogyny. I don't know if it's a product of his age. I never take that as an excuse. I don't care how old you are. I don't care how you were raised. Find some enlightenment, would you? I'm going to give you one example of a joke he thinks is funny. And maybe you'll think it's harmless. I don't. I think it's kind of, well, here, just let me read it to you. After being married for 30 years, a wife asked her husband to describe her. He looked at her for a while, then said, "You're A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, I, J, K." She asks, "What does that mean?" He said, "Adorable, beautiful, cute, delightful, elegant, foxy, gorgeous, hot." She smiled happily and said, "Oh, that's so lovely. What about I, J, K?" He said, "I'm just kidding." The swelling in his eye is going down, and the doctor is fairly optimistic about saving his family jewels. Now that is just devastatingly disappointing from anybody. It's not funny. It's an old Catskills comic wife joke. It objectifies the woman with all of these adorable, beautiful, cute, delightful, elegant, foxy, gorgeous, hot. And then he digs her with an "I'm just kidding." And she not only punches him in the eye, but she attacks his family jewels. So the gender expectations in this so-called joke are dated, archaic, offensive, completely inappropriate to any current sensibility. I don't understand how guys like this continue, and I really honestly wonder what his wife thinks about this little joke of his. Again, this is a guy who I generally agree with on the issues themselves. His posts, his opinions, the little memes that he shares are usually spot on. We talked the other day about humor and how some people just don't have it. It's not that we have different senses of humor. No, it's that they lack humor. They think things are funny that are not funny. They're just offensive. Here's another wife joke that he posted. Waiter says, "How do you like your steak, sir?" The reply, "Like winning an argument with my wife." Waiter says, "Rare it is." Okay, there you go. Another wife joke. You can't win an argument with your wife. These might not seem so bad to you. Maybe this seems just innocent to you. These are microaggressions that I just really pick up on and do not like. I mean, he understands the big picture stuff. He posted this: the Republican Party has sunk so low, it cannot even oppose violence against women. So he understands that kind of on a policy level, but he doesn't recognize his own microaggressions. Here's another joke that he thought was funny. The female praying mantis devours the male within minutes of mating, while the female human prefers to stretch it out over a lifetime. How is that funny, and how is that not blatantly misogynistic? Guys, I'm asking you, cut it out. And I'm specifically talking now to people who, I agree with you politically on almost everything. We seem to be in alignment. I'll bet you think you're a good person, and you probably are a good person, but all of us, each one of us, has to check ourselves. Here's another one. Another funny little joke. Picture of a guy at the gym talking to his trainer. "So, which machine would you recommend I use to impress the ladies in here?" Trainer says, "Probably the ATM in the lobby." Oh yeah, that's hilarious. What is wrong with you? Microaggressions are important, you guys. They are. These little jokes, they are important. We can't just laugh them off. Do you have this? I bet you do. People who have some sort of cognitive dissonance, some particular neuron that's not firing. They seem to be right on the issues. They're liberal, they're progressive, you like them, and yet they're capable of these microaggressions in racism, sexism, and classism. So, anyway, I just thought I'd share that with you. I don't normally share that kind of a post. Again, it only happened because I didn't think too much about it. It was just kind of an impulse, a reaction. And it got a lot more response than I'm used to getting. So I just thought I'd share that with you and see what you think. And if you have friends like that, check them if you can. Call them out. If you catch yourself engaging in something questionable, yeah, be on the lookout for those microaggressions. They really have such great power in numbers. And if you're adding to those numbers, and if I'm adding to those numbers, we really ought to give it some thought. All right, there it is. I love you. I'm Charles Purcell.